All right, so let's go to Rob B. What's happening, Rob B in Canada?
Well, some more goodness actually coming from Canada. So, Inuk leader Mary Simon was named Canada's first Indigenous Governor General. I
Hmm.
had talked about this a little while back, just talking about a lot of the issues with Indigenous people in Canada as of late. But we had definitely talked about the Governor General position. So, the Governor General, in a nutshell, is the representative of the Crown in the seat of government. So they prorogue government. They start and finish assemblies. They sign stuff. It's very much a figurehead type of position, but one with influence because you have direct access to the prime minister. Now,
Mhm.
a lot of people have questioned whether or not this would be the right move over the years, simply because a lot of the Indigenous people in Canada do not recognize the Crown in England. If anything, they recognize that they are the oppressor, if you will. It's by virtue of the Crown that, well, the last 400, 500 years of history happened to them. So I'm very curious to get your reactions and your impressions on Canada's move to appoint an Indigenous person as the Governor General, and that's the first time in our history. Is Canada, despite all of the recent bad stuff in the news, is Canada taking the right steps towards reparations?
I think so.
Gian, you want to start,
I
Gian?
think so. Yeah, I'll start. I think they are. I'm proud, Canada. Good job. Um, everything is, I feel, I'm not like saying everything is so extreme where it's like, oh, they're doing the best thing ever and they're doing, but it's a start, right? And like you said, Rob, even though that governor position doesn't hold much responsibility or it doesn't have that much, it still has influence. So, um, maybe the people, the indigenous First Nation people will start to see, um, not that the crown is like good or inclusive now, but maybe they'll start to come together in some respect. I don't know. I can't say that 100% because look at America, but something will something will come of it. I'm being an idealist, but no, I like that they're trying. They're trying. The Governor Simon said something. She said that for a long time there have been barriers in place for First Nation in this country, whether it's because of systemic racism, whether it's the fact that indigenous languages are not official languages. And so there's that barrier too of not learning. I think they don't know French or something, First Nation people.
Well, no, this is
Okay.
this is specific to Mary Simon, and I love that you brought that up because she doesn't speak the two national languages, which are French and English. But she doesn't know French because she went through the residential school system. Learning French was not
Mm.
something that was afforded to her. She was not
Oh, wow.
given the opportunity. So she absolutely kind of got to call out the past by saying, hey, I don't
That's
have this
interesting.
proficiency, but she has committed to learning French on the job.
Nice.
Interesting.
Wow. That
Interesting.
is a good, like, put in your face, like, I don't know French, but it's because you guys didn't teach me French.
Yeah.
Because of this. I don't know French because
Yeah.
of this, but I'm going to learn because you're giving me an opportunity now.
Yeah.
Yep. Love
For sure.
that. Smart.
For sure. Jose?
I think it's an important moment in the Canadian history, given with everything that has happened, especially just in the last few
Oh,
months.
yeah.
I think, honestly, my opinion, we were long overdue to have an Indigenous person to represent, in the Canadian government. That being said, like Robbie Rock said, there's there's issues, right, with the crown and the indigenous people. If you think, the crown came and basically took their land and here we are today. What I'm hoping it'll do is, I'm asking, is it time that we move away from said crown? Um, is it time that we start learning more about indigenous people as a nation? Because, they were here first. So incorporate their languages as, a language for Canada as well. It's a step in the right direction. I know some Indigenous people are happy, some of them are not. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out, right? The fact that we've actually made this move, and I have to say, like, our current government has been kicking ass with the Indigenous people for apologizing numerous times and for recognizing them and for trying to make amends. So for now,
How do Indigenous people feel about the new governor? Do they like her? Do they feel like she's
Mary
fake?
Simon has been a champion for the last 40 years.
yeah,
She has
Okay.
been a very active voice in Indigenous rights. She's worked in the Arctic Circle. She went toe to toe with Justin Trudeau's dad back in the 70s, talking about just gender equity. So, I mean, this woman is absolutely kick
People
ass,
know.
and she has been involved in the right ways. She has been an advocate
Got
of the people.
yeah. If you look at her resume, if you will, she's certainly not green. Like, I think she's a tough cookie, and I think she's going to challenge a lot of people, which I think is something that Canada needs.
Nice. I'm excited to see
What
what.
do you think, Lizzie?
I just hope that this isn't, I don't know, a case of performative activism
Mm-hmm.
where it's
Yeah.
more about the PR spin on this versus being really interested in the cause and having this be effective for the Indigenous community, for the First Nation community. That's my only concern.
Yeah.
Whereas I understand that representation is important. I'm always speaking that as it relates to the Black community here in the States, but it can't just be tokenism.
No.
It can't just be, okay, everyone's making a big stink, so let's just put this person here and then work
Yes.
around them. Not get so
Right.
that's the only thing that I'm concerned with. Like I want there to be legitimate follow-up, legitimate,
Yes.
interest in the needs of the First Nation, of the Indigenous community. Because I
Yeah.
think on the surface, it's a good thing. Like Jose said, they were here first and they're still here and they're not going away. And so they should be a part of the government and the conversation. But
That's
you can't
very
just have them, propped up, as like, ha ha ha, here we are, figure.
like a
And then we
mascot type thing.
yeah, and then we hide them behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
hopefully, this comes from a genuine place.
Absolutely.
That's my stance on it. And I would be,
That's
interested
true.
in following the story to see how people in the Indigenous community feel about this. Do they think that this is a good thing? Do they think that this is, appropriate representation, and that this is something that they can build off of, they can build upon
Yeah.
in the future?
That's as I was
And
reading through the material, because she did address the Crown Indigenous relations. When she was asked about her unique position as the first Indigenous Governor General, she said that she doesn't see any conflict between her identity and her new role. Because as the Queen's representative in Canada, I am very concerned about the circumstances that led to some of the events that we are seeing today. I do understand, as an Indigenous person, that there is pain and suffering across our nation. So I really hope that she is going to be that bridge, like you were saying, Liz,
Yeah.
not given to tokenism, because she has the chops, she has the creds and the reputation, and I think that
Yes.
she can really pull this off.
Yeah.
I just
I think
wanted
she will if
to,
she's done it before.
for sure. Olivia says, give them their stolen land back. That's reparation. And Jacqueline Robinson says, in all honesty, as Americans, we are in no position to criticize Canada. We finally have a Native as Secretary of the Interior, and that was a fight. So, yes, okay, I can absolutely appreciate that statement for sure. Yeah. We need work everywhere. Everywhere. Everyone needs work.
Yeah.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
We need
For
work
sure.
everywhere, and we need legitimate representation everywhere.
For sure.
And so
Absolutely.
I appreciate again, Rob, this topic, this segment, because if not for you bringing it to the table, I probably wouldn't have heard about it because it hasn't been, anything that's been in the
World news.
American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
something that people are talking about here.
But there's so many
So I
parallels between our collective history in North America, there, especially when it comes
Yeah.
to the treatment of Indigenous peoples. Um, we definitely have a very common history. So it's something that's important to talk about. And for me, just because it was really a lack of education and information as a kid, it's important for me to get this out to other Canadians and
Well, I
my
think it's
American
it's an
friends.
appropriate, timely, and appropriate topic, especially given that we just 2 months ago had a former senator, Rick Santorum, say publicly that he didn't see or believe that Indigenous people, Native Americans, had any influence on
Oh
the
yeah.
development of the United States, which caused him to be finally let go by CNN. But again, it's a timely topic that
Absolutely.
needs to be talked about, that needs to be exposed, and that people need to be aware of. As
Absolutely.
Americans, we get so caught up in like a lot of minutia here.
The
Um,
British.
and unfortunately, a lot of topics that deal with First Nation, that deal with the Indigenous people, they aren't front page stories.
Yeah.
They aren't stories that we really have a lot of history, background, or knowledge about. So again, I appreciate this topic.
Yeah.
This is a
So
day when
ladies,
Great.
a lot of stuff.
are we feeling that this is truth, lies, or shenanigans?
I think it's true.
Truth.
I
There's
think
a whole
another
lot of
true
truth.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
We're bringing the heat.
uh,
It's all honesty.
Bring it
well.
heat.
This next